This is MultimediaJay Radio Style. And now, the man himself, MultimediaJay.
It's not dead, folks. It's not dead. I'm working on making MultimediaJay Radio Style have a bit more parity with the podcast, be a bit more on a level playing field with the podcast, and this is one of my first attempts to do so. What's up, everybody? This is MultimediaJay Radio Style, a series that has kind of fallen by the wayside ever since I started doing official podcasts. But I think what I'd like to do with Radio Style, besides, of course, include visuals with some of the stuff I talk about, which is one of the fundamental differences between this and the full-length podcasts, is if there's a big news issue that I want to chime in on in between shows, that I use this series to do so. Because, yeah, sure, I have a text blog at multimediajay.wordpress.com. I've had it since the start of the year. It's been a fun project, and certainly a great way to not make bazillions of video blogs no one cares about, because the topics there are just quick responses to stuff in the news, or Guild Wars 2, or something along those lines. But, yeah, I do have a text blog, but there are just some issues that I just feel so strongly about, and so passionate about, that I just have to say something. And that's what this series is going to be about in regards to individual issues that come up in between shows. Today I want to talk about the economy, because last night was the first presidential debate between Obama and Romney, and of course myself, very much an independent person at this point. I think the country is up a creek without a paddle, no matter who wins next month. These two candidates, they both have their ups and downs, and I have about had it with the Democrats and the Republicans both having issues where if I wanted to be one or the other, I'd have to chew the meat and spit the bones with bits and pieces of their party platforms. I'm just sick of being frustrated that, oh yeah, I could be a Democrat if I look the other way on this issue, or I could be a Republican if I look the other way on this issue or that issue. Quite frankly, I agree more with the modern Whig movement than either of the two big parties at this point. But last night, it was really hard for the moderator of the debate to get these two candidates, to stop talking about the economy. And it's about time that someone seriously tried to talk about the economy, because we haven't been seeing that in the news this whole year. Poll after poll after poll shows that Americans who are voting next month care about the economy the most. But what do we see in Washington? What do you see if we turn on C-SPAN? Now, what's taking up all the airtime? Things like, should birth control be covered under Obamacare? Seriously. Even gas prices have taken a back seat these days. Yeah, well, that's our government for you. And that's why, and then these people have the audacity to say, we as the American people need to get past their cynicism of their government and move forward. Yeah, well, here's a hint for anybody who's living large off of getting people to like them, which is what politics is about. If you're someone running for office at that level, the American people will get past their cynicism when they have no more reason to be cynical. And there have been plenty of reasons to be cynical. It's sad because here in my neck of the woods, there's actually a local conservative commentator, opinion columnist, something along those lines. She thinks that people my age and younger are gonna be bums. We're becoming dependent on our parents too much because of all the boomerang kids and people moving home after college, stuff like that. What is wrong with this woman? Has she not noticed that there are no jobs? How many more college-educated baristas and janitors with PhDs do we need to have in this pathetic excuse for an economy for some of these hotheads who, for all I know, flip their lids in public like this so people will read their articles and books before these bozos get a clue about how dysfunctional things are? If anybody wants to try telling me that my generation and anybody younger than me are a bunch of bums, I have plenty of hard numbers to shoot their arguments into the dirt. Just take MultimediaJay.wordpress.com. Take a look, click Great Recession. Look at the first post in that now 2-post category where I have links to the St. Louis Federal Reserve charts and things like that. Look at that. And look at the numbers stagnate and collapse and come to a halt. Any signs of recovery earlier this year have stopped. And you try telling me that young people are bums because they're moving back in with their parents, instead of, we have an economy so dysfunctional that, as even Romney said in one of his speeches, people are giving up jobs making $22 an hour to hopefully find 2 jobs that pay $9. Here, and this isn't even what I wanted to talk about, and I'm already this worked up about it. All right. Yeah, but that's the price you pay. That's the price anybody would pay when they care more about rhetoric than reality. When they're so obsessed with ideology and things that they believe are true that they won't look out their window and see what's actually happening out in the real world. And that's one of the types of things I want to talk about in this segment, because there's talk about economic recovery and things like that. What can we do to turn this country around? Can the government do anything to reverse our misfortune over the past 5 years since the crash? But I'm starting to wonder, could the private sector actually, let's say the economy, I mentioned this in my last podcast, but I'm going to say it again. Let's say the economy turned around tomorrow. Tomorrow we all woke up and the economy was booming again for the first time in God knows how long. Would the private sector be able to handle it? Or have so many companies in this country gotten so used to things being terrible that it would be like landing on Mars for them to see anything else ever again? I'm talking about this because I'm expecting basically to get fired. So I'm expecting tonight to be the last night that I actually have a job at this place I've been at for the last 3 months. Why? Anything that I did? No. I've been dead serious about what I do there since starting. No. But simply because of the kind of dysfunctionality that can exist within a company that I've been seeing since I've been at this place. Here's the thing. I mentioned that businesses are made or broken by 2 things, people as well as policies and procedures. On the procedure front at this place, I've seen the facility is dated, and that causes procedure problems because the procedures are dated, and causes even more procedure problems because of the people they have there. People recognize that this place is behind the curve on technology compared to other similar work sites around here, and they very much take that to the bank. Like, this has been basic warehouse restocking and stuff like that. And there are a lot of job codes that require manual counts, and I have yet to be challenged on any of them. I've been using real counts, of course, but that's probably why my numbers aren't what the other people's numbers are. I saw one guy, he was bragging about how he was 30% higher than what I got for the week last week in terms of throughput. But I've seen him do his job. He is not faster than me. What else can explain this difference in speed except not following procedures when people's backs are turned, and those job codes requiring manual case counts, estimating what he did. Yeah, see? You're supposed to keep track of how many cases you count whenever you jump in with anybody. So I often have a sheet that I write down my counts on, and then I add it all up and write the number in. Nobody else does that. Anywhere in the building. And it's not hard. I mean, everybody carries around a clipboard there's a lot of paperwork that you do for production logging and stuff like that. Everybody carries around a clipboard with scratch paper in it. They could all be doing this, but they're not. Makes me wonder. And then what happens when the people in charge are so used to whatever numbers these people can cook up that someone like me comes along who doesn't want to play the system, and they see some real numbers like, oh, well, he's just lazy. That's the kind of thing that I'm concerned about. No, I've been doing what I'm supposed to the whole time I've been at this place, but I am not convinced that honest people can amount to anything here. Because whether these folks like it or not, or know it or not, their system rewards cheaters. And so, I'm just getting this in as one last hurrah before undoubtedly resuming the job search this weekend. Although I know for certain that I am not fond of this night shift stuff. So probably one of the first things I'm going to do is get used to getting up and having a day schedule again, even if the next job is night shift. So I can at least get a vacation from this nocturnal nonsense that killed my ability to do almost anything besides work and sleep. But this is just one example at one company of how dysfunctional things can get, that folks who know how to play the system get paid $15+ an hour for years on end, while folks who get laid off and want to do the right thing can't find stable employment. This makes me wonder, how many other companies out there are like this? And if the economy turned around tomorrow, would they be able to handle it? Or would it be like, oh, punch me in the face, I must be dreaming? So, I really don't know at this point. If the economy did turn around, would the private sector bounce right back? I'm not thinking so. I'm really not thinking so at this point. I think maybe there'll probably be at least a sizable number of companies out there who have gotten so used to things being so terrible that anything else they'll have a hard time adjusting to. But to not say this point any more than I absolutely have to, that's really where I stand on things. And it'll be fun watching this rich snob slap fight take place during the presidential debates and the vice presidential debate and stuff like that. It'll be fun watching these people take shots at each other, but all things considered, I live in the real world. I don't live in this magical fantasy world of C-SPAN and speeches and get people to like my nice smile so I can get voted into office. I actually see how things are on the ground as things are happening right now. And I have just had it with everything. And I am not convinced that things will snap back like that. It'll actually take some getting used to. For if there are a lot of companies that are in the state that where I'm at is in, there, it's going to take some serious work to get these people to get used to an actual somewhat functional economy again. But okay, I'm going in circles with these points, but this may be the last time I speak to you as an employed person for quite some time. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but I'll be very surprised if they tell me to come back for another week, because sadly, some places are just broken. And that's all I have to say about that. So till next time, folks, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for listening, and thanks for stopping by.